Welcome to another edition of Space Weather. This morning's edition, copyright claim free. Looking at the sun in 304 angstroms. We see plasma filaments galore. Sunspot 2733 is departing on the western limb. And while it does so, it still has increasing magnetic complexity at the front edge. See these field mixing situations here? Super interesting. We may have to watch this one as it goes around the backside of the sun. Now, 2 days we had a C-class flare come out of this sunspot. And you see that reflected at the beginning of this video at 94 angstroms. We'll let it play through. There's that C-class flare. And here are the magnetic lines. See this coronal hole incoming? It's about ready to be facing the Earth. We're not expecting the wind stream from that for a few days yet, a couple of days yet, I should say. I would also note the magnetic complexity associated with that sunspot. It's a big one. Here's a real-time solar wind. We do see some coronal hole connection going on there every time you see this phi angle sputter into the middle around 180. That's a sun-to-earth magnetic connection. That also signifies an increased earthquake risk every time that happens. 4.66 protons per cubic centimeter is the solar wind density, and the solar wind speed is level over the last approximately 24 hours at just under 400 kilometers per second. Shout out to spaceweather.com. for putting the 10.7 centimeter radio flux right on your page. This had been steady at 72, and now it's up to 74, an increase in the radio flux. A welcome sign during a solar minimum. And how grand is it, you ask? Well, we're not exactly sure, but we'll go to spaceweathernews.com. We see there was a B-class flare early this morning. Magnetometer is looking smooth. There is going to be a spike in that shortly. We'll cover it in a minute. KP index is down to 0. Cosmic ray increase is likely. Electron flux is also looking smooth. No real charging hazards. And the F2 ionosphere layer, let's get an update on that, is looking a little anomalous once again. Quite discharged down here and anomalously charged down here, although perhaps not as much as the past week or so. Aurora forecasts look weak. Moving on to the Gong 2 data. We'll let that play through. You see the crossing of the heliospheric current sheet there, and some incoming highly magnetic regions. We're expecting a short-lived magnetic spike when the Earth's magnetic lines get into these areas. When you see lines that are more separated, those are more intense magnetic fields. When you see them bunched up, those are less intense magnetic fields. Moving on. Also keep in mind that the magnetic situation can change at a moment's notice. Actually, with no notice. Speaking of the magnetic situation, let's look at the earthquake situation on globalincidentmap.com. 13 hours ago, we see a 4.8 in Honduras. We see a 4.9 in Papua New Guinea. 4.7 in India, 4.6 at depth in Argentina. So there's an example of a deep quake there. Argentina should be on alert for a 5 magnitude earthquake. There's another 4.5 at a nearly 600-kilometer depth near Fiji, the area that we've been most heavily warning. Dominica, a 3.3. Greece, which is the antipode of Fiji, the opposite side of the world, gets a 4.3. Chile gets a 4.2. Vanuatu gets a 4.9. A 4.4 in Chile. 4.5 in Burma. 4.6 in Indonesia at depth. So that's another example of the warning area. Every place from Indonesia to Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, remain on alert. Now, Mata Utu, Wallis, and Futuna, also very close to the warning area there, north of Tonga, with a 4.8, and lastly a 4.9 in the Philippines. So I would say this is the most serious area of warning in this region and in this region. Moving on. Looking at volcanodiscovery.com. Shivaluch still explosively erupting, creating a 20,000-foot ash plume and flight hazards. Sabancaya, sporadic emissions of volcanic ash. Planchon Peteroa, 15,000-foot ash plume. Nevados de Chilean, no VA emissions. Isolated emission yesterday. So Shivaluch, otherwise not really any uptick in volcanoes. Let's look at the geospace movies. Not expecting anything too extravagant here, but we want to have the data on the video anyway, so here's the velocity. Here's the density. See a little bit of low density solar wind coming in there. No real surprise. Different striations of the solar wind density coming in from the left of the screen. And lastly, the pressure, which is looking pretty weak. Not surprising considering we have a KP index of 0 and a solar wind at a very low density and low speed. That looks like a solar minimum magnetosphere to me. How about you? Next, let's look at some ground magnetic perturbations here. Not a lot of energy going on there. Let that play through. And let's take a look at it from the polar view. Not a lot going on. Again, not surprising with such a low solar wind. Moving on. Here's an article on Science Alert that's enough to make you shit bricks. No, literally. Now, earlier this year, we covered an article about piss bricks. Now we got shit bricks too. So we're gonna have some great houses and other buildings being built. Maybe a shit and piss palace. Great idea, dudes. Once sewage is drained of water, treated and dried, what the heck do you do with it? Well, turns out you can use these biosolids in bricks. What a great idea. I can't see how anything could go wrong, dudes. Links in the description. Russian strategic bomber crashes, killing 2 and injuring 4. No, killing 2 and injuring 2. Here's a clip. Not the best fog landing. Ouch. Let's get into some real comedy. Hillary Clinton. Oh yeah. She's apparently weighing a third-party presidential bid. Oh, man. Oh, it's nice to have a little comic relief. Oh, man. Jeez. So, yeah. Hey, the Democrat Party, they've already locked out Bernie Sanders by changing their party registration requirements. You got to be, I forget what it is. You have to be a registered Democrat like a year before the election or before the primary. So, yeah. Good luck, Hillary. Links to this article as well. Let's look at the AccuWeather US Doppler radar as the Midwest is frozen, getting hammered by more snow. We got heavy storms along the East Coast here due to an atmospheric river situation, which is mostly in the Atlantic. The jet stream is dipping way down. And let's look at some other instruments. It's not a tuna. It's not a tuba, rather. It's not bagpipes. It's the NASA GOES interactive weather satellite. Looking at the water vapor, check out that atmospheric river. Is that too graphic? That's too graphic. So, you can actually see there's a polar vortex actually right over South Dakota right now. See this area here? Totally anomalous low pressure area there just created by the jet stream. And yeah, the jet stream's coming down like this right now. Pretty soon it's going to be coming down like this. All the way to Cuba. For real. So anyway, that's what's going on in the water vapor. Also, we see a hell of a convergence going on down here in Texas. Check that out. Some serious cold air blowing down from Canada. Swirling all around, creating anomalous lows. Let's look at tropical tidbits. We're going to look at the GFS model for temperature anomaly. Keep in mind this is in Celsius. Right now we can see on the northern peninsula, that's Michigan by the way, between Lake Superior and Lake Michigan, they're experiencing temperatures that are 28 degrees Celsius below normal. Now, let's just advance this so you can see also very cold in Florida. But let's advance this here so you can see what's going to happen next few days. That's the 29th. Let's move it up another day or two. So, now that is cold, people. That is cold. Those anomalies are in Celsius. And this entire area is going to be 20 degrees below normal Celsius. So, just to give you an idea, apparently the planet is so hot that it's cold. Going back to the sun, how about a little coronal mass ejection in 171 angstroms? There it goes. Say goodbye to Sunspot 2733 as it begins to set. I think we're going to have to keep watching this one, though. Give you a close-up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being encouraged to study things like the sun, which is the driver of all climate on Earth. Lots of magnetic complexity going around. On the disk, we got some stuff going on down here. Some filaments. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Share in your social media. Help us get to 900 and indeed 1,000 subscribers. Leave a comment. We'll be doing it all again tomorrow. Remember, when it's 25 degrees C below normal, don't drink. And if you drink, the temperature is going to be cold as hell anyway.